Today we have something really exciting in the studio, and it's not something that you would see every day per se. This is the Blackshark 4 Pro, and just like its predecessors, it is a gaming smartphone through and through. But this is the Pro version and promises additional features and better performance compared to the standard 4, but yet still maintaining a really reasonable price point that wouldn't break your bank. Best of all, it comes with a 120-watt charger that can charge it from 0 to 100 in just about 15 minutes, which is insane. But now, for some of you watching this very review right now, you might be thinking that this is kind of old news, and you'll be right, because this model actually launched back in China about a year ago, and it's only reaching our shores right now. So, it's a year late, roughly a year late. Is it too late? Well, honestly, it is late, but it's still great. So let's start off first by talking about the design. Despite being a gaming-centric smartphone, the design is honestly really minimalistic. We have it in shadow black, and with it you get a really dark grey, almost to the point of black, aluminum bezel with a slight tinge of navy. Flip around to the back and you get a matrix-like display with a matte finish. It's really smooth to the touch, and thanks to the matte finish, you needn't worry about fingerprints or oil stains or any kind of smudges, which is certainly a plus point in our books, especially when you're gaming for long hours on end. Here is also where you get a backlit logo that can be customized to your liking via the Light Effect app, where you can change the backlight color or effect to anything you would want for a number of different functions, such as when you're playing music, when you've got a call, a notification, so on and so forth. A subtle touch, but pretty nice. We would say that the overall design is really clean and minimalistic, and we really do like it. Per se, it's not exactly like your average gaming smartphone. It's more subtle, it's more professional looking. As for buttons and ports, you'll get a standard SIM card tray which will support dual SIM, a volume rocker right below that, and on the opposite end, there's the power button which also acts as the fingerprint reader. Move to the bottom and you get your Type-C port and a really handy 3.5mm combo jack. It's so nice to see this in a smartphone in this day and age. Really nice. Now of course, there's two additional buttons that you can find on the two corners, but more on that later. For now, let's talk about the display, and to put it really simply, it's a really great display. You're getting a 6.67-inch Super AMOLED display with a resolution of 1080 by 2400, capable of running up to 144Hz with a 720Hz touch sampling rate. It supports HDR10+, hits a peak brightness of 1300 nits, and will cover 111% of the DCI-P3 color space. In simpler terms, this is a really good AMOLED display. Colors are vibrant, contrast is on point, and at 144Hz is just buttery smooth. Use it for anything from simply browsing the web, binging on your favorite shows on Netflix or YouTube, playing great games such as Genshin Impact, or even just doing stuff on the phone. It looks great and feels great. And thanks to the high brightness capability, it's perfectly usable outdoors in direct sunlight. It really is just a great display. There's just one thing that we will definitely suggest when you first start up the phone, and that's to enable dark mode. Definitely use dark mode, it's just so much better. Apart from that, you're also free to change the color scheme should you want to, if color accuracy is something you're concerned about on the smartphone. Additionally, you can change the refresh rate as well, down to 90Hz or 60Hz should you wish to do so. Though we would say that you wouldn't really need to, more on that later. But now, let's talk about the speakers, because this has been a really great experience and by far the best experience we've had on a smartphone to date. In fact, this is ranked number 1 on the DxO mark for the audio category for smartphones for this very phone, at least when it was first released. Well, since then, it's no longer number 1, but just dropped to a mere number 2. But guess who's number 1 right now? Well, it's the latest Blackshark 5 Pro that isn't available anywhere outside of China at the moment. So in a sense, you're still literally getting the best here. And seriously, it's one heck of a speaker system in a smartphone. Watching the Top Gun Maverick trailer was definitely a really different experience. Not only does it get really loud, the highs and mids are really clear, especially with vocals. On top of that, low-end rendering with good spatial performance really adds to the overall experience. This means an equally great experience while gaming as well, with really punchy sound effects but yet without drowning out the constant beat of the battle soundtrack. Like we've said, it's really good, and it's only really beaten by its successor. That says a lot. But should you not want to use the speakers, you can always just plug in a good old high-performance IEM, for this has a 3.5mm combo jack. Really nice. So now let's talk about the performance, and we start off with the specifications. Snapdragon 888, which comes with an Adreno 660 GPU. You can get it with either 8GB of RAM with 128GB of UFS 3.1 storage or 12GB of RAM with 256GB of storage. And it will come with a 4500 mAh battery that will support 120W charging. So yes, you might have realized that this is but just the standard 888 and not the 888 Plus or the latest 8 Gen 1, which isn't really surprising considering the price point and the fact that this actually launched a year ago. Even so, the 888 is still quite an improvement over the 870 on the standard Black Shark 4, and this still proves to be very capable. We could easily play quite demanding titles like Genshin Impact and still achieve really great frame rates while basically maxing out almost all the quality settings and turning up to 60 frames per second. For the most part, it was a really enjoyable experience and it only really dropped frames when the action got a little too intense. Performance kept up well after half an hour or so, which is a good sign of little to no throttling, averaging around 40 degrees Celsius and clocking in just shy of 1.9 GHz. This is most likely thanks to the sandwich liquid cooling system that's inside it. Overall, definitely a much better experience compared to the Snapdragon 870, that's for sure. You wouldn't need to worry about online connectivity as well, as there's support for both Wi-Fi 6 and 5G. So, other more competitive games like Apex Legends will be fully enjoyable not just thanks to the SoC, but also the smooth connectivity. Speaking of which, let's talk about those additional buttons. Simply flick them to one side and you'll get magnetic pop-up triggers. Unlike other gaming phones out there which use capacitive touch sensors for triggers, these are actual physical and tactile triggers and they add that much more to the feel of the device when gaming. Of course, it will depend on the games you want to play, but triggers are definitely of the most benefit when it comes to shooters. Conversely, the triggers also serve as shortcut buttons to any other function you would want outside of gaming, such as the flashlight, to start screen recording, and more. Having tried other types of trigger mechanisms on other gaming smartphones out there, we have to say that the implementation here on the Black Shark 4 is by far the best yet. We then come to the battery, and this might just be the highlight of this device. As mentioned, it comes with a 4500 mAh battery, and you'll easily get by a days of use without issues. The best bit, however, is that it supports 120W fast charging, which can charge from 0 to 50% in just 5 minutes and up to 100% in just about 15 minutes. That is pretty insane. Literally, this is the phone that you would want to get, especially if you're constantly having to rush for things, or perhaps you're just catching your next flight. Just 10 minutes and you're pretty much good to go. And the best part about it, that 120W charger is included in the box. Now of course, even though it's a gaming phone, you still get access to a good array of cameras. On the back, you get a triple camera setup with a main 64MP sensor alongside an 8MP ultra-wide angle and surprisingly enough, a 5MP macro. At the front, you get a 20MP selfie. Overall, we would say that the shots taken are pretty decent, with good image quality along with good enough colors, contrast and detail. Though to be noted, pixel binning is on by default, which means you usually capture images at 16MP. To access the full 64MP, you will have to swap over to that specific mode. As for night mode, it's okay. Not bad, not great. Unsurprisingly, the most fun we had was with the macro camera, and it's actually pretty great. You can get up close and personal, and despite being only 5MP, there's plenty of detail. Other specs include up to 4K 60fps recording with quite decent image stabilization and up to 1080p 120fps for slow motion. As for the selfie camera, it is what it is. All in all, a pretty decent set of cameras that wouldn't win any awards but wouldn't disappoint too much either. Lastly, we talk about price. The Black Shark 4 Pro is available in two configurations and they cost $579 and $679 respectively. For the price, the Black Shark 4 Pro really does provide quite the stellar amount of performance and features. Even if you're not a gamer, you'll appreciate the beautiful high refresh rate display and that good battery life with crazy fast charging. If you're looking for a good Android smartphone without breaking the bank, the Black Shark 4 Pro should be in your consideration. Even though it's poised as a gaming smartphone, it's still a great all-rounder. Honestly, we really like it. And like we've said, even though it's late, it's still great. If you have any questions, let us know in the comment section down below. If you'd like to, do check out the affiliate links in the description as well. If you do, thanks for the support. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to us on YouTube, plus on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and TikTok. Till the next one. See ya!